It's Jai452 here, alongside my wonderful guest for this week, Bee Quinn.
The cosplay.
Oh, sorry. So you're joining me this week to answer some questions about all things cosplay. But before we get started, I'd like to say that we're still having a teeny bit of bad weather, so if the internet goes out, we will pause the interview and try and get it back as quickly as possible. So I'd like to start by asking you, Bee, when did you first start cosplaying?
The first time I ever put a cosplay on was in 2013. It was just because I was a bit bored, and I eventually ended up taking it to a Halloween party with a friend of mine. I properly started cosplaying in start of 2015. I went to MCM in 2014, but I didn't really properly get into it until Edinburgh Comic Con in April last year. And I've been totally embroiled in it since then. My entire life has become cosplay since April.
Awesome. Who or what inspired you to cosplay?
This is going to sound really bad when I say this, but my ex-fiance. My ex-fiance was not a very nice man. He should technically be in jail for what happened to me. And it was because of my negative experiences with him that I felt empowered to gravitate towards a character who'd survived some of what I'd been through. So that was Harley Quinn. And cosplay for me became a coping strategy, and then it became a love of my life.
Awesome. What is the most challenging cosplay that you've ever done to date?
I think...
And just to elaborate on that question, this can be from like making the costume or as an acting standpoint, because there's sometimes quite a bit of acting in cosplay.
Yeah, no. For me, I think probably the most challenging one was Wanda Maximoff, Scarlet Witch. There was a lot of things I had to do with her outfit because I went for a more traditional look in the comics. So we had to figure out what to do with the headpiece, which caused a bit of a problem. Eventually we managed to get it to work, but it was just we had to get it pinned to the wig, and we had to find out how we did it. Pins weren't enough. We had to use metal wire, and I nearly busted it trying to push the wiring because it needs to go halfway through the headpiece, but not right the way through it, so it's secure enough when it sticks to the netting on the wig. So Wanda was definitely the most challenging one for that reason, and also to maintain the character without putting anybody off, because she's not exactly the happiest person in the world.
Okay. In your own opinion, what is the most difficult thing or character to cosplay as?
I think the most difficult thing with cosplay has to come when you encounter other cosplayers out and about, and the way some people treat each other with their cosplays. Some people are not particularly kind, and if you are a person who's into their character, it can become very off-putting if somebody's criticising a lot of things about your characterisation, about how you look or anything like that, because you then have to stay in the character, and that can be quite a challenging thing to do. I've always said to people, and I maintain this probably till the day I die, you've just got to keep the strength with the character and just kind of deal with it and just brush it off a bit, because we're always going to find people acting like that. If it becomes a major problem, there's organisations out there such as I-Cosplay who can help in terms of they're the anti-bullying campaign, but you just try and brush it off, and if somebody keeps on nipping, just turn your back on them and just keep with your character, because it's all about your fun and your enjoyment and your characterisation, and don't let anybody take that away from you.
You were mentioning there about doing Wanda Maximoff from the X-Men series. What did you do to prepare for that, like from the acting side as opposed to the costume side?
Well, I did a lot of research. I had to read a lot of the comics that she's in, because she's been an Avenger primarily. She was originally an Avenger way back before, but she's got a very complicated relationship. She's got a strong relationship with her brother. Her relationship with her father is extraordinarily complicated, and my boyfriend was actually cosplaying as her father.
You mentioned.
I had to get that father-daughter relationship correct, and I think we managed to hit it on the button. But there were other Avengers to encounter as well, and you had to kind of get a sense of the character that she is and the sort of person that she is, and what she can do and how she would approach this sort of situation as a comic convention. So when we were in MCM Glasgow on the Sunday when Wanda was there, she was talking with Robotnik. And she said to Robotnik that the entire convention was a reality she had created around her to try and make herself happy because she'd lost a lot in her life, which explained why you had so many various different characters wandering around. So Thor talking to Ursula from The Little Mermaid. Research had to go into it through comics and
which one out of all the characters that you've done to date would you say is the one that you've done the most research on?
Harley. I think Harley's the one that I'm most well known for. I mean, again, it's in the name, Quinn Bee Cosplay. Quinn for Harley and Bee for myself. So there's a lot of research to be done with Harley because you've got to understand who she is as a character. You've got to understand who she is as a person, the role that she plays, and how she develops as a character as well, because you see her right at the beginning when she's Harleen Quinzel, and it's completely different to how she ends up in her journey when she's with the Sirens, when she's not with the Sirens, when she's in Suicide Squad. There's so much that you've got to make sure that you understand, and you've got to understand how she would react to certain things. Would she laugh at something? Would she knock something to the side? The simplest of things, you've got to understand her reactions. And you've got to really understand her as a person, not just as the persona of Harley Quinn. And in actual fact, I have cosplayed her from Harleen Quinzel starting at Arkham Asylum, running right the way through to Harley Quinn. So I've went through the progression where she was slowly losing her sanity.
Awesome. When you're doing a cosplay event, what is the one thing that you're most excited for? And the one thing that you find or used to find the most nerve-wracking?
For me, the thing I get most excited about is obviously meeting some of my friends, because I have a lot of friends in the community. It's also photographs and video opportunities and getting to just be the character and have people, especially if it's young children. When I was at a convention in Wigan down in the summer, there was a kid dressed up, a really young girl dressed up as Suicide Squad Harley Quinn, and she was so excited to see me and the other Harleys as well. And that's like a massive thing. When I went to my first convention, I was very, very nervous because of just how full on it is, and there's so many different cosplays, there's so many different characters from so many different fandoms that don't necessarily interact with each other so well. So it's very nervous even now sometimes for me personally when I encounter some anime cosplayers who don't necessarily respond so well to myself as a comic book cosplayer. Now, I would just like to stipulate this is not every anime cosplayer I've ever met, because I have quite a few good friends who are anime cosplayers, but the group that I encounter, there are small pockets of them, and I'm sure there's comic book cosplayers who are exactly like that, who don't want to interact with other people and other cosplayers because they don't know who they are. And I feel it's a learning opportunity. If you encounter a costume you don't know, ask about it, ask them about it, see who they are, what they do, why they're here.
I find that can sometimes be a bit of a who's who when it comes to cosplay, and I'm talking like in general, like it doesn't have to specifically be like comic book or anime. A lot of people will take a big risk, especially if you pick a character that's not really all that well known.
Mm-hmm.
So you just kind of like go, okay, I think I know this character, but I'm not entirely sure.
Treat it as a learning opportunity. It's something else for you to learn about, something else for you to know. And you never know, it might be something that you're interested in. If you don't give it a try, you don't talk to the person, then you're never going to know, are you?
Just while we're on the subject of events, what is your kind of favourite event to go to? Do you prefer the smaller local events, or do you like the bigger events, the ones that would be like MCM or the movie and comic book festivals that happen, formerly known as Collectomania?
For me, it's the smaller cons. I mean, I was at Collectomania. Well, I was at Sheffield Film and Comic Con, and I was approached to help present cosplay competitions, and I was on the stage helping to keep the audience warmed up and so on. And that was great. But the most important things that I've done with cosplay have come from smaller events. So I raised some money for charity. at a smaller cosplay event that was local. It was Edinburgh Comic Con, and it wasn't small, but it was small at the same time. I met a wonderful group of friends. I met my boyfriend, and it's been the smaller cons where I feel I've really had the chance to connect with people, and I've made friends at the smaller cons because it is smaller and there's more of a chance. There's less people there, so you can go around and you can talk to people individually, and you have a better chance of being able to connect to them rather than saying like, oh, hello, 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 and you've got everybody around you. The less people that are there, the more you have a chance to bond with them in the short amount of time that you have together.
You mentioned the little girl there who was dressed up as Harley. Some people do cosplays that are sometimes a little bit geared towards children. Have you ever done anything like that? And if so, what was it, and what did you feel when the kids' faces kind of like just went, it's that character that I know.
So I organised a group of about 8 of us to go to the Royal Hospital for Children in Glasgow on the 16th of December to do a present drop-off to the children that were in the ward. I was leading the charge as Tinkerbell from Peter Pan.
Awesome.
So yeah, that was a brilliant experience, and the weekend, the Wednesday after that, there were presents left over, so I went to the local children's ward at my local hospital, the Victoria Hospital in Kirkcaldy, and I got to spend 50 minutes in the playroom with the kids. Where they came up to me and they chatted with me, and it was really, really, really good to be able to have that time and just see them get so excited. There was one time when we were on the ward where I was going up to Shaggy and Velma just to tell them there was somebody downstairs who wanted to see them, and I was literally running, and then I just heard Tinkerbell, and I just stopped at a U-turn and ran straight the way back again. So I got into this kid's room because they'd seen me running past. So I wanted to stop by and just, play roll it across the floor to them. So that was a good one because everyone was like, oh my god, it's the fairy.
I don't know where to go from that. Kind of got me there. What did you cover what you thought was the most nerve-wracking when you're in cosplay? What is the one thing that you find most nerve-wracking?
For me, it's cosplay competitions can be a bit nerve-wracking when you go into them. They're all run differently, and some places let you do performance, some places don't. And with myself, I do performance, so when I'm not able to really properly do a performance or something like that, it can be a bit nervous because you're just standing there like, hello, I'm posing in front of a couple of hundred people. You feel very nervous about it. And even just when you've got the performance, when you're waiting there and you can see the stage and you're the next one to go there, the butterflies come up and you're like, oh, there's so many people, and then you've just got to sit and think, no, who am I? Look down, what are you wearing? Who are you? What are you going to do? And then just flounce up onto the stage and just take it forward from there.
That's really strange, because maybe it's because I have a background in theatre, but my first Comic-Con was the Collectomania one, which then became the Film and Comic Book Festival. And I did a male Harley, and they said to me, do you have a skit? And I was like, no. And then, because at that point I was like trying to work on a Harley voice, but it was coming out more like Jinx from League of Legends, which isn't a bad thing, because Jinx is very close to Harley in the sense that they're both kind of psycho.
There's similarities, yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do like a speaking one this time, but I will go up on stage and I'll pose and whatever. And then when we were getting called up to do it, I remember I was stuck. Well, I was in between a woman who was dressed as Lady Death from
Marvel.
Pardon?
Was it from Marvel?
No, I think it's from a computer game.
Oh, okay.
And on the other end of me, there was another person who was dressed as a computer game character from Monster Hunter. So I can remember just standing there watching, and I was like, okay, thank God I've not got heels on like Lady Death, because if I fell off the stage, I'd probably break my neck. And thank goodness I don't have as big of a prop as the other girl, because you could probably knock somebody out with that. It was like a huge paper mache kind of weird looking sword. I just had this kind of like box cardboard made mallet, and I was satisfied with that. I was like, I'm not knocking anyone out. Walked up onto stage and smiled and just kind of and wandered off, although I had no clue where I had to like walk off the stage. One of the people was like, over here, over here. And the best of it, none of it got caught on my live stream, because I was live streaming at that event. My cousin had the phone at that point, and he's like, oh, I missed when you were on stage because I had to change battery. And I was like, oh, thank God. But somebody else who was at the same event was live streaming, so it did end up on YouTube, and I was like, oh.
Sorry, keep talking. It's fine.
That's okay. So, when you've been entered into these kind of competitions, have you ever won anything at them? And if so, what was running through your head when you got called up?
So the only one that I've been placed in was when I was at Wigan Comic Con in December, and I was tasked by somebody I knew who was running the cosplay competition to get a group of Jokers and Harleys together. So I went around the whole con to find them, and in reality, there was 3 Harleys and a Joker at the end of it. The Joker was James, and there was myself and 2 other Harleys, and we won second place in the group competition.
Awesome. What was like running through your head when that happened? When you guys got called up?
When we got called up, I just came on and did my character bit and everything, and I was like, right, okay, James has been working on this Joker laugh for months. It is perfection. And I'm like, go on, Finn, go on, show your laugh. And he did, and it was amazing. And I think that's pretty much what won us the second place.
Awesome.
But I was just like, he's got to do it, do it.
But what was running through your head when they said, okay, the Joker and the 2 Harleys, you guys have got second place? What was your reaction to that?
In my head, no way! Oh, it was sort of like you never thought that it would happen. So yeah, we're just like, I was so excited for it. And I was like, oh, I can't believe this. This is amazing. And then straight afterwards, I thought to myself, oh, what's going to happen with the trophy? Who's going to take it? Because the 2 Harleys live down in the north, and James and I are up here in Scotland. I'm like, who's going to take the trophy? What's going to happen with it? But they let me keep the trophy. So.
Oh, that's nice. That's very nice of them. Going back to the bigger Comic-Cons versus the smaller Comic-Cons, if you are, well, what would you advise somebody who is new to going to Comic-Cons to do? Which one would you say is better for them to go to and kind of get used to before,
Smaller ones. I would definitely recommend going to the smaller ones. There's a couple of people that I've met that are friends of mine now in the cosplay scene, and some of them did start at the smaller con, which is incidentally where I met them. The smaller cons are really good because you get a really good sense of what it's kind of like without there being too much of an overload. And I find that people at the smaller cons are willing to talk, as I mentioned earlier on. So you have the chance to talk to people, and at the smaller conventions, if you're there for celebrity guests, you have a chance to talk to them. There are 2 celebrity guests at comic conventions that I'm now friends with. Martin Ballantyne, who was an actor in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger, and he was also in Harry Potter and a couple of other things. And Pam Bowes, who was in Star Wars as well. If this had been a bigger convention, when I met them, I wouldn't have had the chance to actually talk with them. At the smaller convention, I had the chance to talk with them. I got to have a chat with Dave Prowse as well at one point at a smaller convention too. So it's really good if you want to figure out, is this for you? And if you want celebrity guests and you want to talk to them, go there. Because I had a chat with Norman Lovett as well, who was Holly in Red Dwarf. And I had a chat with Spencer Welding, who is an absolutely fantastic man. He's just brilliant. He strolled into the middle of the cosplay competition with Star-Lord's cassette player and the headphones and just did a little bit of a dance and then went off. He's a brilliant guy as a character. He's really fun.
I remember going to I remember the celebrities that were at the the first one that I went to, which coincidentally was the kind of like bigger one. And I think I told James about the reaction of the crowd for when Robert Englund was called on stage.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know whether he told you, but
I can imagine
like
I was there when he did.
I was at the booth for the celebrities to be doing their part was on one end of the arena, and I was on the other end trying to get a seat.
Yeah.
And I'm walking up these stairs, and the announcement over the tannoy comes out, and it's like, we'd now like to welcome to the stage Robert, and then there was just this massive eruption of like people just screaming, and I was like, oh my god, it's like someone being killed. And I'm like looking around, and then I kind of clicked to why they were screaming. I also remember that the woman who voices Ash from Pokemon was at that one as well, and I have I actually have a few friends on the website I-gameonline, shameless plug, who are fans of the Pokemon series and Pokemon in general, so I did say to them I will try and interview her. Unfortunately, when we went round the first time, she wasn't there. Second time we went round, she had a bigger queue than the people from Star Wars and Game of Thrones.
Wow.
Like, her queue was horrendously long. And I was like, there is no way that I would get a chance to even say hello to her, let alone interview her. So I was like, wow, though, for a voice actor, that has to be amazing. You got the biggest queue out of everyone.
But she's a voice actor for a lot of people our sort of age. She's a voice actor from our childhood, so there's something magical about
that.
Being able to talk to her,
But at the same time, I was like, whoa, that's a huge queue,
Well, imagine if it was Hamill, he's a voice actor.
Pardon?
Imagine if it had been Mark Hamill as a voice actor.
I know.
There wouldn't be. There would not be big enough to hold the line.
Have you? What kind of opportunities has doing these kind of cosplay things presented with you? Because you mentioned about doing charity events. Has there been any other opportunities, like voice acting, for example, or?
Well, I think for me the biggest opportunity that came about was to work with Costume and Play to do some presentation of the cosplay competitions and that sort of thing, to help them with the running of the panels and stuff. So I think that's one big thing that's come from cosplay apart from the charity work. Obviously I've been able to, courtesy of cosplay, do a photography series with my friend the Laughing Man cosplay, and that was to highlight the nature in visual images of domestic violence in a relationship between Harley and Joker.
The Laughing Man, isn't he based in America?
No, he's not. The Laughing Man is based in Ayr currently. He does quite a lot of cosplays, but I think the one he's probably most well known for would be his Joker, because he does a Dark Knight Returns Joker.
Okay, because there's a guy that is based over in New York, the Joker's Harley.
Yes, Anthony. Yes, Anthony. Darling Anthony, who we all love.
And thank you for passing on his actual name to me, because I do have him scheduled for an interview.
You did?
I do have him scheduled for. Well, hopefully, I'm. Fingers crossed. That this is like a sneak peek to next week. So this interview will need to definitely go out before his, and this can all get cut. I'm hoping to get him in an interview, and hopefully I think it's his girlfriend who does Harley.
Yeah. Joker's Harley.
I'm pretty sure he's told me. But I'm hoping that she will get back to me relatively soon as well. So
please do, when you're interviewing, please do let him know that every Harley and Joker cosplayer in the whole of the United Kingdom would love to see him here, and we certainly would not leave him sitting there at a panel with
well, he has kind of mentioned to me that he's retired from doing some cosplay.
I know, but we just want to talk with him.
Oh, I know.
We just want to. I mean, we know he's leaving, but we just want to talk to him as a guy and as an actor and as a fellow fan as well. And girl.
I think, like, for my cosplay, I don't know whether you've seen my little icon on Skype, but both of them were huge inspirations to me actually picking my male Harley.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, right, okay, which character can I pull off, you know? And when I seen their ones, I was like, yep, definitely doing it. My first cosplay is going to be a male Harley. And I've forgotten the question I had asked there. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, opportunities in cosplay. So you mentioned the stuff that you did there, so that's awesome.
That's all I've got so far, but
Pardon?
that's all I've got so far, but there is a lot planned in for next year. Well, this year and next year.
Okay. Next question I'm going to ask you. Top 5 funniest moments, or top 3 if you can't do 5, moments that have happened to you in cosplay that have been really, really funny.
Okay, so one of them, definitely, I think this is my top one, was at Edinburgh Comic Con, when, in fact, no, there's 2 of them together. So if you took number 1 and number 2, both at Edinburgh Comic Con during the cosplay competition, the guys that I knew were on stage. So it was the security guard who'd been dubbed Ken earlier on in the day, Joker, Commissioner Gordon, and we also had Hugo Strange.
I think I know what's coming here, but go on.
Joker broke out his cuffs and was strangling the security guard, and I was in the background, and the judges turned around and looked around because all they could hear is, "Puddin', don't kill Ken!" She was screaming in the cosplay competition, "Don't kill the security guard." I like this one. Then they went to go off the stage the wrong way. I'm like, that way. So they went back, and our Joker, who was Blair, decided he was going to come out of his Arkham jumpsuit, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? Because I didn't know he had a suit on underneath. I just seen him unzipping. I was like, whoa! So he had a suit on underneath. He came running around, jumped back on to go on to the stage, and was like, yeah, I'm Joker, and I'm from Gotham City. And everybody was cheering, and I was going, yay, woo, 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 and everything like that. And then he just stopped, looked off stage with the presenter, and was like, shh, 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 shh. And Harley was like, a bit upset, and then he just turned to the presenter and the audience and went, can't live with him, can't push him out of a moving car. And Harley was huffing in the background. So, at the entire cosplay competition, everybody who'd been on the stage was like surrounded. We're all in the back, and they were like, I think they were all like, oh god, because they were stuck with Harley. Not me, they were stuck with Harley in the back. And those are my 2 top favorite funny moments. If you go for a third one, third one would probably have to be when everybody decided they were going to steal Harley Quinn's rubber chicken at MCM on the Saturday.
Now, I'd heard a story about rubber chickens being your boyfriend James. It was from another person in general. Now, that seems to be a bit of a common issue for Harley if she's caught a rubber chicken.
Yeah, the rubber chicken is mine. Do not touch the rubber chicken. I was literally chasing people around, and one Joker, David Walker, stole it at one point, and Harley chased after him saying, you get your pasty ass back here with my chicken. I was raging. I was literally running around, and later on I went and did the cosplay competition, came back out, and a friend of mine was fighting another friend with my rubber chicken. I just went, David Drummond! And I swear I've never seen a man drop and run as quickly as he did. He dropped that chicken and he bolted because he knew I was not happy with me.
I think I've actually interviewed him. I'm not entirely sure, but there's a possibility.
But I think those are my funny moments. I think we'll stick with those 3.
Okay. Another top 3. But before that, I'm going to ask you another simple question. Have you noticed a slight change in the age range of cosplayers? Because I noticed, like, I've only just recently started cosplaying last year, and I noticed there's a big variety of age groups, but I wasn't expecting to see so many young children doing it.
I think for me,
So is that
there's been a lot of young children doing it, but the one thing that I found is there's a lot of older people doing it as well. Now, obviously, I'm meaning people who are have their parents themselves. You know, they're in their late 30s, early 40s, going on into their 50s and upwards. And I think that that's an absolutely wonderful thing. You know, that it does really demonstrate you can have a child the age of 3 or 4 doing cosplay, and then you've got people up in their late 50s, early 60s, that sort of thing. And I think that's absolutely amazing. That it's cosplay is one of these things that is not defined by age at all. It is all encompassing, and it's a wonderful thing to see.
um so and adjacent to that, what has been one of the most amazing cosplays that you've seen a child in?
It would have to be, I believe they're called Jawas from
Hmm.
Star Wars. This it was a very very young child, and Harley had to stand between them and a stormtrooper because they were starting to fight with each other. And the cosplay contest, she had to stand between them in the line and go, "No, stop it!" Because Mum had built them a properly functioning suit, so people actually thought that it was just a suit with they thought it was all remote actually in there. It was I knew, but it was absolutely brilliant, brilliant cosplay. Because a lot of people were like, oh my god, there's actually a kid in there. We thought that it was because it's got all the glowing eyes and everything like that. It's just so, so, so well done. So I think for a young child, that's probably the most amazing cosplay that I have seen.
Awesome. um you were mentioning about a kind of mechanized suit there. What do you think of the kind of stormtrooper outfits, the Iron Man outfits, the ones that are like pure metal type of things? What's your thoughts on those types of cosplays?
I think the dedication to be able to do those sorts of things is amazing, and I would just like to stipulate dedication doesn't mean it doesn't necessarily mean that you've made it. I just mean the
Hmm.
dedication of staying in that the entire day. That you've got to take people's hats off to that one, because the amount of stress and strain that must cause must be unbelievable if you're standing in this whole metal suit for an entire day, especially with how warm it gets at comic conventions because there's
Yeah.
people there. I struggle with a leather jacket sometimes, so they must be sweltering in their suits.
I remember seeing a girl dressed as Bombshell Harley at my first Comic Con, and it, for Bombshell Harley, she basically was in these kind of little hot pants and then the bra with the little jacket around her. And I remember saying to the person I was there with, God, she is going to be freezing the entire day. And then later on in the day, I was like, oh my God, I am so hot that like this jacket, even though it's like thin, really thin material, it's like killing me. And I seen an Iron Man, and then I just immediately like clammed up. I was like, yep, okay, he has like reason to be moaning. He took his helmet off. He like, oh, sorry. He took his helmet off, and you could see the sweat just like dripping off the guy. And I was like, oh my God, I am so so sorry for you. Um, and then there was another guy who was dressed as. Now this is something that I found really really impressive, and I'm going to also ask you about this. There was a guy dressed up as is it a Wookiee?
Yeah, Keith.
Wookiee? Who was on stilts, and I was like, whoa, that is like, wow, walking around on stilts all day long while also in a really heavy costume.
Yep.
Um, kind of thing, like people that go that even further mile, because walking on stilts, it's not easy. Like a lot of people think, oh, it's just walking. It's so not. You need to have tremendous balance.
I mean, I know Keith personally,
Hmm.
and I know a little bit more about because I watched it. There was a documentary that he was featured in as well, which I watched because I knew him.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a lot of dedication that goes into not just wearing it, but also maintaining the suit too. I'm also part of a group which I'll mention later on, where they have the Iron Man stand. So they have the Iron Man suit. I believe they have the Iron suits and things, and these people really do go above and beyond, and it's all for good reasons and causes that they do it. But I think we've really got to stand and look at each cosplayer, with got to look at what they're doing, and then kind of try and think to ourselves about the processes maybe that they've gone through. I mean, those sorts of things are quite obviously impressive, but then you've got the smaller things, like for example, if you have a Suicide Squad Harley Quinn and she's went and decorated her entire bat, that's a whole other level. That's a lot smaller level detail though, but you've got to have the same admiration for that as you do for somebody who goes all out with these sorts of suits and things.
Would you ever aspire to make a suit like that?
If I was able to. I think for me the most intricate one that I'm doing is a friend of mine who lives over in Las Vegas. Is She's going to be taking my measurements and she's going to be making an outfit
Oh,
from the animated movie. So we've got to get the underdress and the robes and the kit and everything got to be sorted. So that's going to be a whole other level because the material and fabric could be it's going to be quite heavy when it's all put on together, and it's all black and purple, and I'm going to be absolutely dying when I do it. But it'll be worth every single step that I take.
I'm going to say this to you. If you're dressing up as Maleficent, please let me know which event you're going to be at, and if it's one I'm going to be at too. I am just going to walk behind you the entire time because a friend of mine went to a Comic Con event with his wife recently, well, last year, and there was a Maleficent at their event, except she was done up with these like massive big wings
Yeah.
as well as the big long dress, and guaranteed like people got out of her way. Like if she was walking one way, people would move for her. So my
Yeah.
friend and his wife, all they did was follow her wherever she went because people got out of her way, and I was like, that's actually not a bad idea.
I suppose not, but yeah, Maleficent's been done. I'm going to do a performance piece uh, with Maleficent. I've personally written the performance piece myself, so I just need to get the outfit done, and then we're going to look at doing that and filming that as well. There's going to be a whole piece filmed as well, and I think we're going to try and film a scene in the forest between Maleficent and the Horned King from the Black Cauldron.
Oh, nice.
So there's going to be a lot more performance-related work. That will go up on our YouTube channel, but I'll tell you about that later on.
Awesome. In your opinion, what is the best and the worst things that a new cosplayer can do when they're prepping to go to a cosplay event?
The best thing that they can do is, whichever event it is that you're going to, go onto Facebook, search for the event, see if there's any group chats or anything that anybody's engaging in, and talk with people that are going to be there. Because they'll give you tips and hints and everything. Everybody's excited to see your cosplay, and you'll get an idea. You might be able to chat and bond with one particular person. It means, especially if you're going by yourself, that you then have people you're like, oh, I recognise you. We were talking on the boards. And it means that you've got somebody there with you. So for your own personal safety as well, if you're going by yourself, that helps too. I think the worst thing that you could do, well, there's not really a worst thing that you can do, but I think the closest thing would be if you went in with a closed mind. You have to be quite open when you go in, and you've got to be willing to talk with people and engage with people, because if you just go in and you're quite cold and aloof and you're not really going to do that, you're not going to be able to get the full joyful talk and engage with people. So try to be a little bit more open and open-minded, and yeah, you might be out of your comfort zone, but you might find that you actually enjoy being out of your comfort zone.
Awesome. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just like trying to. I've got like other questions popping inside this head. Let me just quickly have a look. So when you're creating a look what kind of process do you go through? Do you try to stick to the original look of the character, or do you add your own elements?
A little bit of both. I think what you've got to do is you've got to take the original character and you've got to, for me, you've got to look at it and you've got to say, right, okay, what would I be comfortable wearing? I'm going to use my Poison Ivy as an example.
Awesome.
We're quite aware of the way Poison Ivy looks and the fact that she doesn't always necessarily wear clothes, many of them. I looked at the Poison Ivy outfit and I'm like, okay, so I could look to do something like that, but what am I going to be comfortable in? Because at the end of the day, you have to be comfortable. So for me, I made the decision that rather than using paint and so on, which would have taken forever anyway, I was going to wear a pair of green leggings. And then I put my bodysuit thing over the top of it. So that way, with some boots too, the skin looked like it was green. Well, it looked green, and it kind of works. And for me, that was a lot more comfortable than not doing it at all. So you've got to kind of consider what you're going to be comfortable with. And if you're not comfortable with the exact look that the character has, just change it, just tweak it, just adjust it slightly. Generally speaking, people are going to be quite accepting of it. And, you're able to kind of add your own unique stamp onto it. My Harley Quinn, will take her as an example. She has one red eye and one black eye. Which, for me, that's kind of unique for me. I mean, I'm sure there's other people across the world. The probability is that they do that too. But there's a smaller proportion of us that would do that. And so for me, when I go to events, that's kind of like my unique stamp, or quite close to it. So it's good to be able to go for something that you feel comfortable with, as close to the character as you feel comfortable with and want to, but just always make sure to put your own little stamp on it, even if it's just something slightly different, like a little tweak that just makes it yours, and it'll make you feel a lot more happier with it, I would say, and a lot more accomplished too.
Okay. The next one is a top 5 question. So the top 5 cosplays that you have seen, or the top 5 most common cosplays that you have seen in 2015.
So common cosplays, I would have to say there's been a lot of Attack on Titan that I've seen. There's a lot of Attack on Titan that I've seen. Obviously, there's always a lot of Harley Quinn cosplayers. She's a very popular character. That's just going to happen. I've also seen there's been a surprisingly large amount of Pokemon that's been coming out recently as well. A lot of people doing Pokemon. That was quite unusual. I wasn't really expecting that. You've had, I'm trying to think of another top 2 that I've seen. There's just so many that when you sit and think about it, that's come through. You've been getting more Poison Ivies as well. And yes, you have been getting a lot more Jokers too. Because there's like so many different versions of Joker, and with Suicide Squad coming out as well, you've had so many Harley and Joker cosplayers coming in as an influx. Poison Ivy has been becoming a lot more popular too.
I actually noticed that, like, the big event that I was at had 3 this year. Well, 3 ones that I noticed. I
mean, it doesn't sound like much, but if you take it from what it was before, the amount you've seen before, it is quite a startlingly large jump.
So top 5 top 3 now, most unexpected things that have happened in cosplay for you when you've been either at an event or doing a charity event.
Batman proposing to Wonder Woman in the cosplay competition.
Did not see that happening.
It was filmed, and in actual fact, the photographs that people took, you actually see my Harley in the background going, "Yay!" So everyone's like, "Harley, you photobombed the engagement photo." I'm like, "What?" So that.
But that's something Harley would do.
Yeah, exactly. So that was unexpected. I think one of the second unexpected moments was when I was talking to Hugo Strange. And Harley was talking to Hugo Strange, and she asked him if he had a wife, and Selena asked if he had a husband, and it kind of progressed from there, and he said that he was working, all he was doing was working, and Harley made a comment that I'm not able to repeat because of age ranges, but it was rather amusing regarding what actually constitutes as working these days.
Okay.
It was rather unexpected and quite amusing as well. And another one was unexpected. Oh, for me personally, it's a small, it's a very personal one. Was when I was standing there as Harley Quinn, and these two people behind me went, "Oh, you were Ivy from Invercon." I was recognised for another cosplay that I've been in.
Oh, that is great.
So for me, that was really unexpected because Harley and Ivy were totally different in terms of the look. So that was very unexpected for me. So yeah.
Awesome. I hope that I'm as lucky as that because my male Harley has received quite a little amount of attention, I think. Because like I did two versions of it. I did like my normal version of him, and then I did a mishmash version of what Harley would look like in The Nightmare Before Christmas if she was like thrown together with Sally.
I'm working on that with Jack Skellington. Actually, that's another project.
Ah, awesome. Well, I'll show you.
Totally.
I'll show you the kind of pictures that was taken of me at that point, and maybe hopefully give you some kind of ideas.
Right.
It's very, very basic though. It's like as basic can be. But sorry, lost plot there. I do like the kind of mishmash of ideas of like bringing that character and that character together because Harley is like she shares like second place in my favourite Batman female characters. Like the number one spot has to go to Catwoman because that's been my favourite character for like forever. And Harley and Ivy share the number two spot. But Sally is my favourite character in The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I just kind of like I was sitting watching it one day and I was like, what would Harley look like if she was kind of like stitched together? You know? So I brought that into that cosplay and it worked really, really well. And I always say to people, you know, if you're doing that, if you're doing a mishmash of characters, just go for it.
Totally,
like,
just go.
Add the best, what you feel is the best elements of character 1 to character 2, you know. But lastly, I would like to ask you, what advice would you give anyone who is looking to cosplay but is a little unsure just where to start?
Who do you love? That's what you need to ask yourself. Who do you love? And, you know, apart from your parents and so on, etc. I mean, in terms of fandom, you need to ask yourself, who do you love? And then whoever it is that comes to your mind, you do that. Because that's what cosplay is all about. Cosplay is about characters. So you need to figure out to yourself, if you're going to cosplay, who do you love? And then you'll find you'll be a lot more invested in it as well. But you've got to definitely start off with the person that you love most, the character you love most. And then through that, you'll then understand, do you love cosplay? Do you not love cosplay? Is it your thing? Is it not your thing? As I said, it's all about you've got to be comfortable with who you are and what you're doing.
Awesome. And to add on to that question, can you give us possibly 2 or 3 cosplays that you will be doing in 2016?
So, I'm going to be doing a Tim Burton Cheshire Cat booked for an event down in Blackpool in May to raise funds for Teenage Cancer Trust. There is also Wonder Woman is getting worked on as well. I'm going to be ordering the metal armour to come with it.
Awesome.
And the last person who is almost ready is Lady J. So my own slant on a female Joker, which will be a little bit different, I would say, from some of the female Jokers that I've encountered. One big difference being I'm going to be using my own hair and I'm not going to be using a wig for that. So I find a lot of like long flowing green wigs and that's not happening. But yeah, she's going to be a little bit explosive when she comes out, shall we?
Okay, at this point I'd like to turn over to you and ask you if you can tell us just where our viewers can get hold of you if they've got any further questions directed for you, like what social medias you use, and if you're part of any cosplay groups or movements, and anything else you'd like to add into that.
So you can find me on Facebook under Quinn Bee Cosplay. So that's QUINN space B as in the normal B Cosplay. That's also my Instagram page as well if you want to find that. We have a group YouTube channel between myself, Jim Rose Cosplays with me there, the Laughing Man is as well, and a couple of other brilliant cosplayers. It's Gotham Carnival.
He told me about that, and I have subscribed to your channel.
Brilliant! There's going to be a lot more videos coming up there, so that's good. I'm also part of. I'm going to soon be part of the Superheroes Cosplay. I am part of Gotham Cosplayers UK as well, and I do some work with I Cosplay, the anti-bullying campaign. That last one is particularly important. If you feel that you're experiencing anything in relation to bullying at all within cosplay, anything at all that you feel like that, just go to I Cosplay. That's what they're there for. They are the anti-bullying campaign, and we do take every comment that comes through quite seriously. So if you do feel uncomfortable with what's happening, if somebody's talking to you in a manner that you're not quite comfortable with, etc., and you want some advice and support in relation to cosplay, go to I Cosplay. You can find them on Facebook quite easily.
Awesome. So have you got any other ones that you want to add, or?
No, really, I think that's pretty much me. One thing I can definitely say is feel free to send me messages through my Facebook page. Even if you just want to have a little chat, ask a couple of questions, if you want to tell me anything about my cosplays, if you want to work with me, so that applies with any photographers, if there's anybody who wants to do shoots with me in terms of other cosplayers, if you want to do cosplays with me, if you want us to do a cosplay group, anything like that, just please get in contact with me on the Facebook page. If you have any charity events or galas or anything like that that's being organised that you'd like me to attend as well, please do let me know through the Facebook page and we can chat about that too. Because I'm all for the charity. That's
awesome.
What we so yeah.
Well, at this moment in time, I'd actually like to thank Quinn Bee for taking the time out and spending it with us and taking us through a little bit the world. As forementioned, I do have one scheduled for next week, or should I say Hayden Quinn has one scheduled for next week. And we'll see how well that goes, because we all know that Hayden's a little bit nuts. So after all of that, thank you guys for taking the time out to watch this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, whatever else you need to do. Or if you're watching this on iGame, please leave a comment somewhere and let us know what you thought.